And welcome into a special edition halftime interview on the Blue Streaks Halftime Show. And joining us now is men's head basketball coach, Pete Moran. Coach Moran, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us.
Logan, really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me as well.
Absolutely. So just kind of talking about last season briefly. We're just getting started with the 22-23 season. A little bit of a rougher season. Unfortunate injuries making for a bit of a more difficult season. 8 wins in total, 2 wins in the conference, but made it to the conference tournament, earned a hard-fought first-round victory over Wilmington last year. What did you take away from last season that you're going to be bringing into this season?
Well, I got to compliment guys that played significant minutes last year. I felt the thing that I take away from last season was the grit and fight that our guys demonstrated. We had a couple opportunities on the road against Marietta and Mount, up by a few with a few minutes left to go, and just couldn't pull out some key victories. But just a fight and grit, overcoming a lot of obstacles, a few injuries. Between the month of December and end of January, we had over 20 cases of COVID, which was kind of chaotic at times, but our guys continued to fight, and I'm very proud of their efforts that they put forth last year.
And a few notable names returning: David Gentry, Chase Toppin, somebody who was injured a little bit in the last year. He's coming back as well. But also a lot of new faces entering this program this year. I counted 8 transfers coming into this 22-23 roster in one season. That doesn't usually happen every day. How did this ultimately come to be?
It's relationships. Logan, I've said it repeatedly to people, I don't even know how to get on the transfer portal. A lot of these individuals are, homegrown tomatoes, guys in our backyard, guys that you're familiar with, people that we've known. I mean, I can go down the list of each and every one of them and tell you where there's a connection and relationship that has been established long before they decided to go to a previous institution. So that really starts with the relationships that the coaching staff has been able to formulate over the years, and that's kind of how it all fell into suit.
And so there are some new faces in terms of the transfers, also new freshman recruits coming in this season as well. So speaking of a lot of these new faces, who are some names that Blue Streak Nation should perhaps be on the lookout for this season?
Well, I think you got to start with the veterans, guys that have, played in the OAC, competed against some of the best teams in the country. You look at Marietta Mount, you look at Narracana, a 4-year guy, Chase Toppin, although his season was cut short, real short last year because of injury, he has that experience. David Gentry as a freshman, I think there's something to be said about guys that have been through battles before within the OAC, and it's arguably one of the best conferences in men's basketball in Division III. So I think it starts there. William Wallace, a guy that's battle-tested, competed really hard. And then you look at the new faces, and it goes beyond just the guys that transferred in. It's the freshmen. We're very high on the freshmen that we have, guys that come from successful programs. The Sean Collins from Mentor, he's going to be a significant piece of John Carroll basketball for the next 4 years. Then you look at, some of the transfers. I think with them, it's a feeling out process. We've only had, I believe, we're up to 16 days that we've actually been on the court with them. So feeling them out, them feeling us out a little bit, us understanding how they play the game, putting them in good situations where they can be successful. So it's really a feeling out process right now. They're all great kids, or great young men, I should say. They played together previously as an AAU back when they were in grade school and junior high. So it's just going to take a little time. It's ultimately a team sport, right? So getting 5 guys on the court that play well together. And, I think once we're able to accomplish that, I think that we have a bright future for sure.
Definitely so, and considering the fact, very long season starting in November, potentially ending in March, and then obviously the off season too. And it's great to hear that those relationships are built with a lot of your players well before the college days, but now ultimately here at John Carroll. Once again, John Carroll head men's basketball coach Pete Moran is our guest on the Blue Streaks Halftime Show. Speaking of that time getting on the court, starting to build the chemistry early this season, how has practice and preparation been going leading into this 22-23 season?
The biggest thing that we've noticed is just the competitiveness, that not only the new guys, but the returners have demonstrated. We've had some of the most competitive practices this year that I've ever been a part of. I think that's largely part of just guys wanting to compete and prove themselves. So practices have been going, every day. The staff and I, we meet and we discuss things, personnel, X's and O's, and every day we feel a little bit better, though it's going to take a little bit of time. I think our motto is with the coaching staff has really been, we're not looking at the past. We're not looking 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road. We're just looking day by day and how we can get better and how we can gel these guys to play team basketball a little bit better.
And that constant improvement is certainly a good thing to consider, again, over the stretch of a very long basketball season. I know we've talked about a lot of not only returning players, also new faces coming in, also a pair of new coaches entering your coaching staff as well, Damon Jones and your brother Matt Moran. What will these two coaches bring to the team this season?
I think what Coach Jones brings is just his skill development. He's an outside perspective. What he gives us, he has experience playing international basketball at a very high level. He's coached at a higher level. I think he's instrumental with some of the gaps or holes that we felt we had as a staff. I think he certainly fills those voids. Bringing my brother Matt along, he's an overqualified Division III assistant coach. It's his fresh ideas. It's, his work ethic. And collectively, what this staff does for our program and our institution is like nothing else. Guys that work full-time jobs but still sacrifice time away from their families to be a part of something very special. And just like I mentioned, their work ethic is impeccable. And I'm a better coach because of them. We're a better program because of them. And we're a better institution because of them.
And that's great to hear about those coaches ultimately joining together and taking time out of their lives to try to build these young men into ultimately men of Carroll. I know we've talked a lot about on the basketball court, just going a little bit off of the hardwood. There are a lot of family ties for your family, Coach. You have the court named after your father, legendary Mike Moran, coached 25 years here at John Carroll. You're coaching with both of your brothers this year. Your nephew, Luke Chacon, is set to play for the Blue Streaks this season. What does it mean to you having the Moran family legacy carried on in JC basketball?
Logan, my families were extremely close, right? So throughout our lives, we've spent a lot of time together, whether it's, in athletics or off the courts. So it's really not an adjustment. Matt and I were fortunate to play for my father back in 2004. So it's nothing new. It's us being comfortable with each other, us reading each other, us helping each other. Bringing my nephew in the equation is special. I mean, he's a special talent, obviously, but it's great for the university. It really is. You talk about men of Carroll. Both of them are John Carroll alums, and they're giving back to the institution. So from a personal standpoint, I'm excited, obviously, but we ultimately know we have a job to do, and our main focus is to get that job done.
Certainly so. And now just talking about you a little bit more personally, again, a lot of basketball being discussed so far here, but what do you enjoy doing when you're not on the basketball court?
I love to cook. I have a deep passion for cooking. If I didn't have 3 kids, a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old, I'd probably be on the golf course or on a fishing boat, fishing with my brothers, golfing with my brothers, or fishing with Coach Rule, a longtime assistant at John Carroll. But those are my 3. I love doing yard work too. I'm 42 years old. I'm kind of in a different chapter of my life. I'd like to get to bed by 9:30. And, once in a while when we have a free night, my wife and I, we watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians or something silly like that just to take our minds off of, our occupations. But cooking is my number one passion. Golf and fishing are right there up there.
That sounds great. I hear maybe potentially, cooking a team dinner perhaps or two this season?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those guys are that fortunate to have something like that.
All righty. And now our last part of our interview here, Coach. Do want to thank you once again for sitting down with us. Just a couple of fast favorites. I do this on the John Carroll Football Preview Show. I decided to bring it to basketball as well.
Absolutely.
Just a couple quick favorites so Blue Streak Nation gets to know their head coach a bit better.
Absolutely.
Are you ready? Awesome. Firstly, what's your favorite food?
Steak and clams.
I've heard a lot of steak on the football side, so sounds like it's going into basketball too. Your favorite show?
Stanley Tucci touring Italy. It's a cooking show.
Makes sense. Passion for cooking. But your favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption.
Favorite music artist?
I'm not a big music guy, but if I had to say, I got to put Bruce Springsteen up there.
And finally, your favorite all-time basketball player?
You got to go with Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, highly regarded as the greatest of all time, and he is your favorite all-time player. Coach, that's just about all the time we have for this special edition halftime interview. Thank you very much, and best of luck to your John Carroll Blue Streaks this season.
Thank you, Logan. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. That was John Carroll men's head basketball coach Pete Moran sitting down for a special edition halftime show interview, and coming up, the rest of the Blue Streaks halftime show right here on your home for the Blue Streaks, WJCU.